Hi guys, welcome to my interview series with veganfirst.com, destination for everything vegan, and I'm Nidhi Singh from PCOS Club India. And today, as part of our interview series, we are bringing you a very special topic, and it's about lean PCOS. A lot of you asked about lean PCOS, where there's a tendency to lose weight rather than gaining weight. So here we have Nidhi Mohan Kamal, who is a nutritionist herself. She's a yoga trainer and also a strength trainer. That's amazing. And she has been vegan for last 4.5 years, you mentioned.
4.5 years, yes.
So, Nidhi, we are so excited to have you, and we have so many questions for you, especially on how plant-based diet helps with PCOS, and in this case, lean PCOS.
Well, thank you so much first for having me here and bring on the questions. When we talk about lean PCOS or regular PCOS, the way it shows up on a person's body might vary, but how it is supposed to be treated is almost similar in both the cases. Slight variations here and there, but primarily both of them have to be kind of dealt in the similar manner. Understand that the real reason why PCOS happens is not known to anyone, but we know for sure that it's a lifestyle related disorder. So know that it involves imbalance in terms of insulin. So those are things that you can, those are things that we know. We will start on building up on whatever needs to be done to correct the problem basis the same thing. So yeah.
I got a lot of questions from the girls where they say that, once they start to include the plant-based diet, they tend to lose a lot of weight as well. So, what should be the proportion and the way you should be consuming the plant-based diet in lean PCOS?
There are a couple of things one needs to be careful about. Firstly, even if you have lean PCOS, you have to include some bit of resistance training in your workout. And if you're doing that along with managing your diet, then you would not have that problem of losing weight, and that because you will be building on muscle and eventually correcting your metabolism where it should be. Now, how it has to be handled in terms of what kind of training would differ in both of the PCOS, though I would say either works for both of them. But I would generally not suggest too much of cardio based workouts or high intensity based workouts, but a lot of resistance training, which are lower reps, heavier weights, or higher resistance and lower reps. Slow but strength movements, and that's what's required. And along with it, if you talk about diet, of course, we know that any kind of PCOS, you have to switch to a plant based diet because animal based products will intervene with your hormone system, and plant based is going to soothe it down. When you talk in terms of diet, your protein requirement would be, in this case, would be about 1.5 times your body weight. That's the amount of grammage of protein you would require on a daily basis. How you can achieve it easily with, and if you're on lean PCOS, you would need to be on a high carb also. Not high carb, but reasonably good quality carbohydrates.
Again, to what you said, that you need to have that protein intake taken care of. So, do you think the regular intake that we have, probably a katori of dal that we have, or the legumes or the sprouts that we have, does that suffice, or do you think protein powder is an option for lean PCOS?
Honestly, I am not an advocate of any kind of supplementation whatsoever. So for me, whatever comes from nature naturally works best. Again, there are extensive calculations that I've done on a series on veganism where I've explained how the same amount of protein that you look from external concentrated uh, source of protein packed in a dabba sold to you as a supplement versus how your regular dal and roti sabzi, the normal Indian diet, can complete that same requirement. So it's not that hard, but honestly, you need to probably switch your portion sizes of how much you're consuming and how you're cooking. So minor changes there.
And do you feel that everybody who's going through the PCOS, and now in this case we're talking lean PCOS, they should see a health practitioner like yourself or other people around them to see how they're consuming their food
Absolutely.
combinations?
Absolutely. I would not say that don't see a GP or don't see your gynec and don't go for the hormone treatment that is being provided to you. But understand that consuming a hormone will not solve your problem. It's going to suppress your symptom. You have to understand that the problem started out because there was some loophole in your lifestyle, and that needs to be corrected. So you should see somebody who's professionally doing it. Even if your weight is not a problem, even if you think you're reasonably okay in terms of your physical health, just see someone so that you have a long-term plan on what is working for you specifically. Because be it any problem, every individual will require different things depending on their body types.
That is so important, Nidhi, because I feel that when you see a gynae, for example, you do get to know what your severity of PCOS is, but then I am different than anybody else with different. So they would require different treatment in terms of what food is required. So, yeah.
And even your histories would vary.
Yeah.
Because everyone would come with their own history of how they were consuming or how their lifestyle was since the beginning. So before they started on with their periods, how was their lifestyle? Generally, I've seen, again, it's just an observation. I don't know if there's any medically conclusive evidence to the same thing. I've noticed that people who were in their pre-teens, who were very high on packed food and junk food, generally tend to have more complications even with the same disorder. So that's something that that they need to like sit across with somebody and map out their history and figure out what will work best for them.
Another question that a lot of girls ask, that in their particular day, what is a normal routine of exercises that in the lean PCOS girls can do?
As I said earlier, as much resistance training as you can do. Now, if going to the gym is not an option, then you can start with very basic stuff or small dumbbells at home. A resistance band is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
So you can start with basics like focus on your biggest muscles first. So squats, push-ups, pull-ups, rows. These are like deadlifts. These are the exercises that you should aim to be like starting off with. Along with, I'm not going to say don't do cardio at all. Use it as a warm-up and use it for your cardiovascular health, but not 60 minutes of treadmill or 60 minutes of running. That's not ideal for both the conditions, normal PCOS as well. I would always recommend that you do some form of resistance training. If you want to do even yoga, then focus on postures which require your bigger muscles to move. So quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, chest, back. Major, bigger muscles. If you do resistance of these, your metabolism is going to kick in faster.
Wow. And when we talk about yoga, and you mentioned that it can also help, what are the particular postures that you would say that, okay, if you do these 5, 6 of them, then at least you're working on those specific muscles?
The traditional Surya Namaskar, both the versions A and B. So the B has a lot of postures which require a lot of stability on your legs, which is like the warrior pose, warrior 1, 2, holding the postures longer. If you can do inversions, nothing like it. If you're scared to do it, you can do a headstand against the wall. Those would be excellent for you. Any kind of lunges or lunge sort of postures, which you have Anjane, which is like a deeper lunge, or you could have, as I said, warrior, all the 3 variations. The third one's like a little harder, which is almost like a single leg deadlift. You can try out all of those postures. And chaturanga, which is like a basic plank, but it requires a lot of upper
That
body
requires
strength.
a lot of strength.
Upper body
But I
strength.
think in my experience as well, including yoga and especially these exercises, it really helped increase my strength. And I think that's really important to fight that insulin resistance, which could be the cause. So guys, if you have never done yoga before, please make sure that you get going to a professional to learn it first so that you can do the home practice. It's really important that we're doing the right exercises. So we talked about the carb intake, and you stressed upon that low carb option might not work for lean PCOS. So do you want to give some advice on how much carb intake is a good proportion for the lean PCOS?
I'm generally I'm not a fan of low carb diet, considering any sort of problem. But specifically speaking about lean PCOS, you should not be on a low carb diet at all. Carbs are not enemies, and this is something which social media and these fancy diets have always been promoting, that carbs, 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 and I go on a low carb diet, or all that fancy stuff about 7:30 ke baad carbs nahi khane and all that. I don't believe in all that nonsense, because understand, your body needs carbs. They are the primary source of fuel for your body. And your body, the fastest way to get fuel also is carbs. Eventually, if you're consuming more protein, also it's the same amount of calories as carbs, but it's a more complex metabolic pathway, and so you end up using more organs in doing that, and you end up creating more byproducts in doing that. So to avoid all of that, it's good to have carbs, because that's the way nature has put it. But carbohydrates are generally they have a bad name, and I would say the bad name should be not for all carbohydrates, for specifically high glycemic index carbohydrates.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it is, please research about it and find out. All the simple sugars, glucose, most processed food is high glycemic carbohydrate, and low glycemic carbohydrate is whatever is there in nature. Mostly is going to be lower glycemic index carbohydrate, and they are amazing for you, and you should have them. Whole grains, pulses, legumes, anything which is unpolished would be low glycemic index carbohydrate. Even when you talk about fruits, there will be fruits which are high glycemic, and there are fruits which are low glycemic. So if you have lean PCOS, find out what low glycemic index carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates suit well and work well for you, and include more of them in your diet.
I think that's a great point. A lot of people ask that, okay, Nidhi, what are the fruits that I should avoid? And I think this is that trick.
Yeah.
So anything which is low glycemic is good for you.
Yeah.
So Nidhi, in the plant-based diet, you mentioned that a whole plant-based diet is better than just keeping it plant-based. So can you share some insights?
See, when you ask me a question about, pulses have carbs. So in nature, everything is in balance. In nature, every seed that you pick up would have carbohydrate, would have protein, would have fat, would have essential vitamins which are required for the growth, because every seed is a baby plant. So it's whole in itself. That's why when we say you consume a whole plant-based diet, that means unpolished, unprocessed, where you're not bifurcating. This one is carbohydrate, that one is protein, this one is fat. Now the proportion of carbohydrate, protein and fat would vary in all the foods, but they all have that. So when we say go on a plant-based diet, that's not enough. One should go on a whole foods plant-based diet. That means nothing polished, no artificial sugars, no processing whatsoever. Whatever is there in nature, you pick it up raw and you make your food from it. So cooking from scratch, unpolished stuff.
Nidhi, we talked about gaining weight and how certain combination of foods, plant-based foods, can help you increase weight and lean PCOS. So the trick there is also that we have to make sure that we are not putting up our bad cholesterols up. And a lot of PCOS patients have their triglycerides really up and they don't know about it. So can you share some insight that how do we make sure that our triglycerides are okay, our lipids are okay, and we're still increasing weight?
Can I ask you some questions? When your triglycerides were up, were you eating processed?
Yes, a lot.
Were you eating whole foods?
I was not.
So again, even if you have lean PCOS, in nature, your triglycerides would not go up naturally. If they are going up, it's an indicator that whatever you're consuming is not assimilated well in your body, and because its metabolism is impaired already. So that's a byproduct that's coming out of what you're putting in. So if you're putting in whole plant-based diet, that is highly unlikely that it will happen. And again, the next question I would ask you is, your bad cholesterol, good cholesterol ratio was also not okay.
Yeah.
The bad cholesterol, the source of bad cholesterol has to be something outside of your body. Bad cholesterol will not come from your body, it comes from outside. So first is you have to stop consumption of anything which is processed, refined, fast food, junk. That has to stop. And second thing is about your good cholesterol. Good cholesterol will increase if you're including whole seeds in your diet. Almonds, walnuts, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, again, whole stuff. So when you add that, your proportions of good cholesterol will go up. And if you're not consuming anything bad, then your bad cholesterol will go down. Eventually, your triglycerides will.
Thank you for sending all the questions on Instagram about Lean PCOS, and we are going to select a few questions to ask Nidhi about it. So, first one is by Samtha Vadhavan. She asked, I have lost all my muscle from the torso region and feel it's very weak. Is it because of Lean PCOS?
Could be. Solution to that is go back in resistance training, which is for hypertrophy, heavier weights, lower reps, along with loads of good carbohydrates, and protein, and there you go. You'll gain it back.
Second one is, can you suggest a plan for Lean PCOD? This question is by Rupal S. Kumar.
It's hard to give a one size fit all plan for everyone, because as we discussed, every individual would have a different sort of a problem even within the same problem, because you'll have different lipid profiles, your liver functions would be different. So I would seek professional help. This is one investment that you have to make on yourself, so please do that, because there would not be a one size fit all diet plan for like everyone, even with the same problem.
The other question we got from Manvi Rajput. She asked, low calorie PCOS diet is leading to weight loss for her very easily and she's getting underweight.
Firstly, you don't need to be on a low calorie diet. Whatever your weight is, whatever your basal metabolic rate is, and your activity level. I don't know what that is, because according to your height, your muscle mass, and everything, your age, figure out what is your daily requirement. It should not be calorie deficit, because you're definitely not working on calorie deficit. In fact, it's okay to eat like 100 to 200 calories plus of what your requirement isn't completely okay. If you're working out, that much is okay. So you should not be on a low calorie diet. First of all, calories is not what you should be aiming at, because you're not trying to lose weight. So if low calorie diet is causing weakness or weight loss, it's because you're on a calorie deficit, and for your condition you don't need to be on. So you have to consume more calories.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. If you have to give one tip to all the PCOS patients out there who are, fighting this disorder, and the plant-based diet is the way to go about it. So what is one tip that you want to give to our viewers?
Try to eat as natural as you can. Even if you're going plant-based, don't have that tendency to like look for vegan alternatives which are like highly processed, because that's not going to help. Definitely vegan is way better than choosing an animal-based option, but even within the vegan bracket, look for foods which are whole and unprocessed, because that's what's going to correct your problem, reverse whatever situation you're in. And even if you choose vegan and it's highly processed, that's not the way to go.
Yeah, look out for that food labels, I would say.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you're not already following veganfirst.com and PCOS Club India, please go follow and watch our next videos. And please comment below to sharing your views. What are the other topics that you would like me to share? See you on the next video. Bye.